Hello my gorgeous loves out there and welcome. In today's video, I'm actually going to do a ranking of my Adept Cosmetics palettes. I've done this in the past, but it was a year ago and I feel like I've attained a lot more Adept Cosmetics palettes since then. So I have a lot more and I do feel like my preferences has changed. So some things have maybe switched around from the last video that I've done, and I did get a request to do this video as well, so that is why I am doing it. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bri and I'm just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. I like to do a lot on indie makeup, so if that is what you're into, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. So we're going to get into all of these Adept palettes. This is my first time doing a second ranking for a brand that I already did a video like this for. I'm definitely going to have to do this for Unearthly Cosmetics too, because I have way more palettes than when I last did a ranking for them. And the last ranking I did for Adept Cosmetics, I had 9 palettes and now I have 16. So that is what? 7 more palettes to throw into the ranking. And of course my preferences have changed, and with like new palettes coming out, things obviously will get moved around within the ranking, because 9 to 16 things will change up a bit. So hopefully you guys enjoy this updated ranking for Adept Cosmetics. I will have all the palettes linked below, of course, and I'll include swatches because I am a good person like that. Now before we get into this ranking, if I put something at the bottom that you really love, or something really high at the top that you really hate from Adept Cosmetics, please don't take it personal. This is based on my personal preference when it comes to eyeshadows, and I base this on whether it's quality, color story, versatility, how likely I'm gonna use it, how much do I gravitate to it, do I use it often, do I not use it often, different things like that. So let's just get right into this ranking. So I have a different one at the bottom than I did the original video I did, and it's the Quetracell White palette. I actually use this more as a highlighter palette now. I don't really use this as an eyeshadow palette. I think it was supposed to be like a multi-use kind of palette because it has like highlighters in it and then eyeshadows, but I don't really even use these two sides because it's too hard to get the individual colors. It was just too small. And then these highlighters, I've been getting into them a little bit more. I can't really wear them on the regular or in the summertime because these are really creamy and they don't do well in high heat and I have oily skin. But during the winter time and like fall, I was using this a lot and actually really enjoying them. So that has changed, but in terms of it being like an eyeshadow palette, it would be at the bottom because it's just not usable for that purpose. It's a highlighter palette now, and I didn't like the setup, and I don't like having highlighters and eyeshadows in one palette. That's just not my vibe. So that's why I put this at the bottom, even though there's a palette that I really don't like either, but I don't dislike it as much as I dislike this one as an eyeshadow palette. So then the next one in the ranking, which was the one that was at the bottom in the last video, and it's the La Cienega palette. This is in my declutter pile. I've given some stuff away already, but I still have to like send off the other palettes. But this one, I just did not like the formula in these shimmers. They're chunky, they're funky, they're thick, they creased really bad on my lids, they were really scratchy. And then the matte color choices were just not my favorite. I thought the matte formula was really nice, but I just wish like it just made more sense. Like had some blue mattes or maybe some purple mattes. I don't know, something to switch it up, but there was nothing wrong with the matte formula. Also, this leans more nudie and I'm a color lover, but it's really these metallics that just turned me off kind of for this palette, and that's why I just ended up decluttering it because I don't use it. I just really don't. So that is why it's towards the bottom, and it's gonna be gone from my collection soon. It should have already been gone. And then the next palette in the ranking, which I switched some things around because this was higher than the another palette that's gonna be above it now. It is the Amunet Nu palette. So this is their older formula, and it does lean cool tone with some warm tones, but the shimmers were less exciting, and here some were more kind of satiny, and then you do have some beautiful chunky or flaky ones that look stunning on the eyes, But since they've improved their formula, I feel like I like the newer palettes more because of the improved formula. And the mattes in here were definitely more on the sheer, more buildable end. Overall, I do still love the color story. Now, I think I got the dark version, and because of that, like, the only one I think can really work as a highlighter is this one, which is fine because I like smoky, darker looks. But I don't know why I put this higher than like another palette. I'll tell you that soon, like the palette that I put it up. But I don't know why I ranked other palettes like below this one the last time I did my ranking. But I mean, I guess preferences have changed and I haven't used this in a while. So that's also contributing to it. So then the next palette, which was the one that was below it in my last ranking, which is the House of Ale palette. And I think I said it was more limited and I guess not as versatile. But when I look at this now, it excites me more. And I think I've gotten more into these vibrant colors like this, like the vibrant oranges, and the lime green right here is just stunning, which I love using it as an inner corner. And these shimmers are like extra sparkly and intense versus the shimmers that are in the Amunet Nu palette. So even though that one has more options, I think I gravitate to this color story more now, and the shimmer formula in here is like my preferred shimmer formula. So that's why I'm ranking it higher than the Amunet Nu palette. And then the next one that I have here, which is the Mink palette, which I love, but it's just more of a nudie, sparkly palette, like a glam palette. But I will have to say these shimmers are more on the thicker side, a little bit more textured, so it takes some like learning on how to get these to work on the eyes without them creasing, but it does give like vibrant glam looks. They're just a little bit more finicky because of the textures of them, and I think I might have ranked these a little higher up in the last video, but I think I'm appreciating sparkly shimmers that are leaning more smooth than the super creamy thick ones. Before I was like all about these, but then I realized that they can like get too thick on the lids and be a little bit too textured and crease. So I still appreciate this. I just know I have to go in a little lighter with these shimmers. And I love a glam look. Not every day do I go into a more chill glam look, but when I'm feeling in that mood, I do reach for the shimmers in here and often pair it with other palettes that have like more mattes in it, but I still really like this one. Then I have this one right here, which is the Samaran Sunset palette. I love the vibe of this one. It's like very warm, grungy. It's giving fall, and it has these beautiful like sunset shades in here. Now, the reason why this is more like I think closer towards the bottom is these shimmers too are a little finicky. I had a little bit of creasing with some of them, and some of them are so creamy and like they just slip around in the pan that I already started to hit pan on one of them. I had to kind of move the shade around to not hit the pan. And I haven't had the palette this long, so I do feel like the shimmers are a little bit too creamy, that they just start to move around. It's easy to pick up too much on your finger. So you do have a learning curve with these shimmers in here too, because they're so creamy. And I did feel like some of the shades were just too same on the lid. Like this one, and this one. I mean, like they have different shifts and stuff, but they translate kind of similar on the eyes when you put them on. So that was the only thing. I wish that there was like a true olive metallic in here. That would have been lovely, because all of these that do have green shifts lean very like berry, fuchsia, pinky, not fuchsia, but more pink berry on the eyes. But the mattes were nice in here. They're a little bit more on the buildable, and they're not as pigmented as the mattes in their newer palettes that I'm going to show you, but I still love the vibe and the grunge of it because I'm a grungy girl. And then the next palette that I have here, which I really love, even though this is in the older formula, but there's something about this palette that I just, adore. It's the Kodanne palette. I can't remember how you say this one. They don't have this one anymore, But I don't know, I love this color story. And I thought the shimmers in here were definitely more smooth and easy to work with, but still had an impact on the eyes. I really like the shimmers. They're easy to work with. And then these had some like really nice creamy satiny shades. And I think satins can be really nice as blendy shades to the crease. Like this one, which has a really strong green shift to it, is beautiful. And then this one down here is beautiful. It's like a maroony berry, and it has like a really strong kind of taupey brown shift to it. And they have these beautiful ones that are a little bit more like foiled. I love it. And then even though these are buildable, I'm a big fan of like this fun bright pink. And for just only having 2 mattes in the palette, there were actually pretty good mattes to go with the colors in here. So I just feel like this still has a special place to me in my collection, and I really enjoy it. Like, I don't know why. It just makes me happy looking at it. I guess pinks and greens and berries just excite me. Then we're going on to another older palette too, but I don't know. I love the vibe of this one too, and I think the shimmers are really easy to work with. And here it's the Nihydron palette, which I don't think they have this one anymore either. But I just love this row down here with the purples, the greens, the blues, and they're still really beautiful foil shimmers. Maybe they're a little bit drier than some of the newer shimmers from them, but they're still super impactful and beautiful and stunning. And I love the colors of them. Now, some of them are leaning more on the darker side, but I don't mind a darker shimmer. I know a lot of people like those lighter iridescent ones, but I really like these. And then you do have some little bit of grungy warm tones up here, some pinky shades, and you do have 2 mattes. And I thought the mattes in here were really nice, even though I would have preferred maybe like 1 more matte. But you have like this cool tone matte and then more of like a grungy, warmish matte. And this one is still really good for being one of their older palettes. I do feel like they kind of went through like changes with their formula. They went a little bit more smooth, a little bit more chilled, and then went overly like textured and emollient and creamy and intense to like something right in the middle, which is where they're at now. And I'm loving their newer palettes. Then I have this one right here, which is the Seahorse palette. This is an all shimmer palette full of pastel shimmers, and they're beautiful. A bunch of different textures. I think these are all pretty easy to work with. Some are a little bit flakier than others, but I love using this in the summertime. I love using these shades as inner corner highlights, or with other palettes that have darker shades. If I need to lighten the inner portion up or have a contrasting shade, I use this one. It's like right in the middle, and it's beautiful. But because it's an all shimmer pastel palette, I have to use this with other palettes, so it's not a standalone, and it's not every day that I need more pastel shimmers like this, so I don't use this as much as the other palettes I'm going to show you, but I still really love it. It's right in the middle of a love palette for me, so it's really good if you're needing like an all shimmer pastel palette. This is a good option, and I think they still sell that one. Then I have this one, which surprisingly is pretty up there for being a more nudie palette, but it's stunning. It gives all the glam vibes. It's the Flying Fiddles palette. I recently featured this on my channel, and I really love it. I ranked it pretty high in a recent ranking too, but the shimmers in here are like that in between. They're intense, sparkly, but on the smoother, easier, workable side. They don't really enhance textures too much. I didn't have any issues with these shimmers, but they're shifty and beautiful and gorgeous. You can just do beautiful, just date night, kind of smoky, warm brown looks with this, but you have some greens in here as well. Taupey, like champagne-y shades. Some have like green shifts to them. I just really like this. This is a good nudie palette. If this is your kind of tone, your vibe, you would probably really like this one. And then the next palette, which I've only used once, is actually the palette I have on my eyes, but I already knew where this would rank against my other palettes without having to use it more. I mean, the formula is beautiful, but it's the Amy Loves palette. She did such a good job, Amy Loves Makeup. This is a cool tone lover's dream. It's smoky, it's gray. The formula is excellent. Mattes are very pigmented, but blendable and buttery. And then the metallics are shifty and sparkly. They got holochromes, multichromes, dual chromes in here. And it's like gonna be my cool toned palette that I go to when I'm feeling cool tones. And look at this eye look. I mean, come on, is this not stunning? I'll link the video below. I'm pretty sure this video with this palette will come up before this one. So I'll be in the bottom, I'll be in the upper corner. But I just knew already where I would rank this just using it once. I used like 8 shades in this palette, and I felt like that gave me a good idea. And I feel like so far Adept has been really consistent with their palettes recently. Like the last 4 palettes I've fallen in love with and love the formula in like all of the shades. Then the next one right here, which is this grungy and just scrumptious, and that's why it's pretty high up there, but it's the Heather Austin palette. I might have ranked this higher than some other palettes that I ranked this lower than last time I did the ranking, but it's still a beautiful one. It's very cohesive. They put the perfect mattes, and this was a collab with Heather Austin, and I believe you can still pick up this palette, but then it had some more nudie tones, and then it had grungy tones and a fun blue and different textures, and the formula was really nice. I feel like this is when they start to improve their matte formula, but every palette from this one on, I felt like that's when the mattes were like getting good in their palettes, if that makes any sense. But grunge, beautiful, love Heather Austin. I think she did an amazing job with this one, and that's why it's always been pretty high. It's been a favorite of mine for a while, and grunge is just me. It's just everything that I'm about, and I think the formula is really nice. I've used this a lot actually. And then I have this one right here, which is the Plain Jane. This is the original OG palette, the one that made me fall in love with the brand. That's why it will always be high up there, and the formula of these shimmers are beautiful, and I feel like that's where we've gone back to, because they kind of went away from these kind of shimmers to those like thick ones that I told you, and then now they're like kind of circling back to more shimmers that are like this, smooth and sparkly but still intense. And this is an all shimmer palette, but I've used this a lot with other palettes. There's greeny tones, more taupey tones, there's some purples, some blues, this fun fuchsia, and this still is a staple of mine in my collection, and I think I'll always rank this up high. It's also just really special to me because that's how I discovered the brand, and it was because of Amy Loves Makeup. She featured this palette, she could not stop raving about it, and that's why I picked it up, and then I've just been in love with Adept Cosmetics ever since, because I'm a shimmer girly and they tend to lean towards the shimmers. And then number 3, we're at the top here. It's the Elements 115 palette. I also recently featured this on my channel. Beautiful, gorgeous, more jewel tones, but the formula is excellent. These beautiful, sparkly, creamy shimmers. And then it was paired with really beautiful mattes, like perfect mattes to go with these shades. You can go purple, green, blue, and I'm a purple, green, blue lover. So this ranked up really high because I love the quality and I love the color options, and green, blue, and purple are always going to be my go-tos. I just love those kind of colors and shades to work with. And then all of these shimmers like either have different shifts to them or extra sparkles or some like extra intense vibes going on to them. And I also think the theme is really cute. I'm really into the whole extraterrestrial stuff. And then number 2 in the ranking, which is a pretty new palette too to my collection, is this maybe my 3rd most recent palette from them. It's the Cyborg Choir palette. Oh, look at this. And like this bright intense yellow and this bright intense like turquoise aquamarine shade. Also excellent, easy to work with shimmers that are intense, smooth, gorgeous, shifty, and then these beautiful mattes. Loving the bright yellow, loving that there's purple, a more maroon berry shade, some blue, a grayish shade. You got dark to light, and then these beautiful shifty shimmers. Like, this is so good. I love every single look I've ever done with this one. I love the color options and the range. It's just gorgeous. And the one that's number 1 is still number 1 from the last video. I still cannot get over this palette, and I don't know if I ever will, but it's the Inspired palette right here. Oh, if you are a lover of grunge and green, this is it right here. But I don't think they sell this anymore. They brought it back, and then I think that was the last time they were gonna ever restock it. But I don't know why grunge and green just have a hold on me. Green is my most favorite color to wear on my eyes. It's my most favorite color when it comes to clothes, nail polish, decorations. Like, I love me greens, and I really love like olivey greens, but I still also really love like pukey. That sounds weird, but like, you know, like the grungy, yellowy tone greens, the mid-tone greens, the foresty, rich greens. I love all versions of greens. And then these beautiful, very creamy, slick, shifty shades to pair with these grungy greens. And I just love that there's just different versions of green, like the olive, the more goldeny green, the more like cool green, grassy green. This one that has like a really dark black base to it, multi-chrome. I don't know, there's just something special. It inspires me, and it makes me want to have greens on my eyes all the time. I thought the mattes were really nice in here, and I just can't get over it. I don't know what it is. This palette definitely has a hold over me and may still stay for #1 for a long time. I'm not sure if they'll overtop this one for me. But that was my new Adept Cosmetics ranking. Things were moved around a bit, but overall I think I did a good job. Like, in terms of what I like and what I reach for, I think this ranking makes most sense for me. But you guys will now have to tell me, what are your thoughts? How would you rank these palettes? Would you agree, disagree? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoyed this video, you like ranking videos, you like a lot in indie makeup and all that fun stuff, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I would love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will have all the palettes linked. I will have all the videos that I've done on each of these palettes linked, and my old ranking video that I did on Adept Cosmetics. If you just want to see more from the brand and watch more videos from me, and I'll have my makeup linked, all that, and the video of me putting this look together because it's stunning. And I will have my contact and my social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really, really love that. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for being here, for supporting me, being amazing. I just appreciate you guys all so much, and I just hope all of you are doing well wherever you are in the world, and just sending you guys so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.